Hey, what's going on, everyone? Brad here from Preeminent Practice. And today in this video, I'm going to be talking about ethical patient rebooking strategies. Now, rebooking and ethical rebooking is a very hot topic amongst practice and clinic owners that I speak with on a regular basis. And a lot of the questions that I get are related to, well, I feel sleazy if I have to rebook someone, or how do I sell a plan of care? How do I frame it in order for people to see the value in it, and I don't have to feel really bad about selling the service or whatever that may be, or having to push people into it. So patient rebooking strategies and associated ethics with rebooking being that hot topic is been common in basically the entire 13 or 14 years I've been treating. And some practitioners feel it is unethical, and patients that want to rebook, they'll do it on their own initiative, while other practitioners simply embed the rebooking process into their business systems, creating a streamlined process, which is what I do and which is what I teach and work with practice owners on. What all healthcare practitioners and professionals can agree upon is that rebooking is a critical step in the patient's treatment outcomes and overall results, as well as improved consistency with both the practitioner schedule, the business schedule, the income within their business. And it's basically a win-win. If people don't come in for a treatment plan, they're obviously not going to get better. They're not going to refer people to you. You're not going to get testimonials, reviews, or whatever else may happen. There are, a couple different top ways to secure rebookings without being unethical as a healthcare practitioner. Now, the first step in securing rebookings is to actually start at the beginning of what I call the patient success journey. If you haven't watched my patient success journey video, make sure that you search in and around this video, type in patient success journey, and you'll be able to understand how I create the patient success journey. And it'll give you some more insight into that. That being said, we want to have the discussion on the initial triage call or initial evaluation prior to beginning the patient's treatment plan of care. Why we do this is because part of our job as healthcare practitioners is to include a recommended therapy plan of care during your initial consultation with that patient. As a practitioner, you also want to be able to discuss that plan and the best treatment options for them based on your clinical impression, diagnostics, or whatever that you've seen when treating the patient. Now, most practitioners miss this step. When I used to travel for NFL and NHL athletes that I worked with, I used to just book random treatments, partially because I was curious on how they did their processes. And the majority of people never gave me any plan of care or really any recommendations, sort of like lackadaisical, oh yeah, come see me whenever you want. The reality is that if we want to be seen as practitioners and taken responsibility, we need to, and seriously, we need to be able to do that ourselves and tell people what they need. Most practitioners, they include some sort of remedial exercise, stretch, or home care that the patient can execute themselves outside of your treatments, but they don't necessarily indicate the specific recommended frequency to follow up on treatments as noted in their clinical impression. Now, this can lead to patients not fully understanding the significance of rebooking or their recovery, prevention of injuries, whatever it may be, to the specific outcome that they're looking for and why they signed up to use your service in the first place. And as a result, the patient may experience some temporary relief, and their chief complaint maybe comes back or causes their patient to become more frustrated because it keeps coming back. And they say, well, I've tried chiro, or I've tried physio or massage or whatever. And what they tend to do is bounce from different people to people, or they become very jaded and saying, well, I did physical therapy already. It didn't work. And why it didn't work is because that practitioner failed to give the person a clear path as to what they needed to do. Now, by providing the patient with a detailed treatment plan of care, including your home care recommendation, frequency of your treatment appointments, you're able to connect the importance of the patient following the treatment plan of care to get to their ultimate desired outcomes of the service and why they come to see you in the first place. No one wants to come and see you just because you're a nice person or because they really want to get a treatment. It's that they're trying to solve some specific problem. We talk about decommoditization. This is one of the easiest ways to be able to do that. And that will allow you to charge higher rates, get people who are ideal clients coming to see you and not having a discount and that kind of thing. So once you've communicated and reviewed the patient plan of care with a recommended treatment plan, The next step is scheduling those next series of appointments. If you're a solo practitioner, you may do these steps yourself, or if you have front desk admin who's responsible for that, they would rebook for you. But the key here is that you need to have a clear plan on what those next steps are. For us, we always would say, all right, we're gonna see you every Thursday for the next 4 weeks at 6 p.m. That's your time slot. Book them out. So that way we've got the commitment financially, we got the commitment from a time perspective that this person is invested into it. And ultimately having the patient on the schedule following their treatment appointments after the initial consultation is part of a successful patient rebooking strategy. But scheduling those subsequent treatments ensures that the patient has confirmation that they know what the plan is. They're not going to be booked by someone else, and that they are prioritizing this. Too many people give the objection, well, I don't know my schedule. The reality is everyone knows what their schedule is to some capacity, and they're just not prioritizing it. So your ability to get them to come back in is really, really important, as well as making sure it's connected to the outcome that they want to get. Obviously, they're going to get better result. Now, from a business perspective, you're going to be able to have more consistency in treatment bookings in your schedule, practitioner schedule, with less need to have to follow up, connect with people, touch base with them in the new year or 2 weeks or whatever it may be. And this is going to save time on your side because you don't have to either do it yourself or pay someone else, which is time is money and frustration and focus. And you do it right away. The patient's going to have a better overall streamlined process, and patients are going to drop off less because they have clear, specific goals of where they are. Often patients discontinue their treatment plan of care or seek another practitioner just due to inconvenience, not being able to schedule easy, not knowing what the next step is, or not having a clear understanding about why they are not better after a period of time. So ethical rebooking really must be a part of the patient's treatment plan. And I always say it's our fundamental obligation as practitioners to be able to tell people what they need and encourage them to be able to take whatever action that they need. So if example I always like to give is that, if someone wants to be able to run 10-kilometer race without knee pain, it's important to note that the patient's desired outcome may change during that period. Maybe they need a different treatment plan. And how this would go would be, all right, well, you've got this knee pain. It's not getting better. There's these other things going on. We need to adjust our treatment plan. I need you to see this other practitioner instead. That may be the case. Or maybe the person's doing better. In a lot of scenarios, this happens where someone says, oh, I'm feeling so much better. I don't have any knee pain. I'm going to go back out. And then they blow something out in a couple of weeks because they didn't stick to that treatment plan because the law could change. At this stage, any changes in the patient's treatment plan are potentially common, and we always need to relate it back to the outcome that we're working towards. If you don't connect it to the outcomes, then the person generally gets disillusioned why they're doing it even in the first place. So that is really the big component to getting people to stay with you longer in treatment plans is one, giving people clear, concise steps on what they need to do in order to get to the next stage of their plan of care and outcomes that they are looking to resolve. The next thing that we look at is patients who have fallen through the cracks. Maybe they came in for an initial evaluation. Maybe they came in and or that you talked to them on the phone or something, but they didn't go through with a treatment plan of care. Well, what do we do with those people? So what we want is we need to have a system of following up to make sure that we can rebook these people in when they got the time or when it becomes more of a priority for them. Not everyone who has back pain right away is going to book an appointment and do a full plan of care. Maybe it's not bad enough at that point and they need to get it worse, or they think it's going to go away, or they're doing foam rolling, whatever it is. We get this all the time, especially people who are more active where, well, it's not really that bad. I'll see how it goes. They don't want to invest $2,500 or $3,000 to fix it. They want to try to figure it out and hope foam rolling and stuff happens, which rarely does it ever work. And then something else breaks down and so on. So this is why follow-ups is so important. So even if you have a system in place to rebook your patients after the initial consultation, it's very common that that patient doesn't end up rebooking or schedules or cancels or no-shows or whatever it may be. This can happen for a bunch of different reasons. Not going to get into all the details now. Life gets in the way, that kind of thing. But the important item to note is that they're likely to not have had relief. And because they have not got relief, we know from chronic pain that these people are going to have consistent things. going on, and generally gets worse or more effective. So for patients who have not rebooked or discontinued their treatment plan of care, drop-offs or whatever happened, you need to have the system and strategy to be able to reactivate them in order to get them back on your schedule and moving towards that desired result. One of the most successful ways for reactivation of past patients and drop-offs is a strategy that I have taken from Dean Jackson, who's an expert marketer, called SPEAR emails, or short, personal, expecting reply. This is part of my reactivation machine. So if you don't have the reactivation machine, you can comment below or find out if you're watching this on my website. You can just do a search and find reactivation machine. You can download the actual word for word on there. But this is where you reach out to a past patient or drop off and ask them a specific question. Give me something as simple as, Brad, are you still interested in running 10-kilometer races pain-free? Or Brad, have you been successful at running 10-kilometer races? Or are you still kind of struggling with that knee pain? Something along those lines. You can send these questions out, email, text, phone call. We do it a bunch of different ways using my service call and reactivation system. And these types of questions are based on the patient's desired outcomes and are designed to elicit a response to the patient with an objective, engaging communication, and ideally having a patient rebook so they get back on track towards that desired outcome plan of care. Now, it's very important not to say, hey, do you want to book a massage therapy appointment with us? Because that is not geared towards the outcome. We want to say, hey, we spoke about 3 months ago, you were struggling with some shoulder pain. Did you end up getting a solution, or are you still struggling? I'm giving an open-ended question based on what their issue may have been. A lot of people miss these components, and the reality is that there's so many people who are just sitting in your pipeline. I see it week after week. There's thousands of people in practitioners' pipelines who will end up rebooking with these SPEAR messages. So if you don't have that reactivation machine, you can download it. If you're on my site, search it. If you're watching this on social media, you can comment below and we'll send it over to you. But the main thing that I want you guys to get from this is the importance of having an ethical rebooking system from both a patient and business perspective, and how crucial it is to make sure that you have this implemented to allow for better results for both the patients as well as a more profitable, consistent business where you're getting patients coming back in. Especially if you're spending money on time on marketing, we might as well capitalize on those types of people coming in. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message. Always love to chat a little bit more in depth about your specific scenario and if and how we could best help you. Thanks again.